Welcome back. Hugh, this is very interesting for Indonesia, specifically the applications role versus the infrastructure role, the inverted pyramid.
Yes.
For Indonesia, where infrastructure is lagging behind our neighboring countries, for instance, Singapore, Malaysia, and how should the government address this infrastructure issue versus the end user and application? Because right now Indonesia is putting a lot of energy, effort, and also funding into infrastructure.
Okay. Well, you know, it's not just about technology. Technology is available, and there are many CIOs here that are looking at the new technologies and social. And I mentioned the bank, BCA. But it's more about people and process. It's about a mindset. Okay, it's people saying that this is how I do things, and how do you change that? So it's more about transforming the people and the process. A CIO recently told me he had 5 pillars for transforming IT. Okay, the first one was you still have to maintain quality. Never compromise quality. The second thing is we must specialize, because these new technologies we need to know about, you know, analytics like Hadoop, we know Java. We need to know, IT needs to know more about the business to help the business. Okay, so IT people have to specialize. But if you specialize, you also need to know how to collaborate, work with others, inside and outside of the company. So many of the CIOs are leveraging the vendors, because the vendors are the experts in technology, you know, so they will leverage them. But they want to ensure that the vendors are aligned with their vision and strategy. Okay. So a lot of the CIOs will go and meet with their vendors on a regular basis, give them the strategy and direction, and expect everybody to align with that. Because what they don't want is ankle biting, where people come in and try getting here and there and confuse the issue. Okay, and then the other thing is, you know, I call it innovation. You know, but one person told me it was like hatch the egg. Say, try things, try the new things. Okay, don't be afraid of the new things, try them, but don't get married to them. If they turn out to be a bad idea, then fail fast and move on. And the last thing they said is important for IT is to market IT. IT does many wonderful things, great things, but they rarely market themselves to their high-level CFOs and CEOs. And so it's important for IT to be able to market and tell and explain in terms that the CEO and the CFO understand. Okay, so those are ways that we have to go to transform that. In terms of what the government can do, you know, they can incentivize investments, you know, tax advantages and things like that to draw. You need to bring other types of outside intellect into the business too. So. Like what Singapore is doing, for instance. It also should be coordinated instead of having you know, each department acting independently.
In separate ways,
in separate ways, and creating additional silos. The biggest thing about creating a smart city or smart nation is eliminating silos, so you can share information.
Minimizing the left.
Okay, so everybody can participate in building the smart city or smart nation.
Now we talk about data. For a dummy like myself, we talk about data, we talk about huge, massive storage. Like we have a massive storage here. I used to work for broadcast radio, there's a massive storage for the music and what have you. How large of a cloud are we talking about when let's say by 2020, when Internet of Things is at a full
It'll be so much that we can't store it. We will not be able to store even a fraction of the data. So we're going to have to push intelligence out to the edge so that we can gather the data, maybe do some analysis there, and just put the core content back into a core. Okay? We have already exceeded the ability to store all the digital data that's being generated.
Oh, wow.
So we have to be smarter about what we store and where we store it and what do we use it for. I mean, all the photos that are now up in the cloud, right? The family photos and all that. Okay, that's a huge amount of data, and it has to be stored cheaply. So right now, you know, the way we do in business, we have create data, then we back it up, and then we distribute it to some other business unit, and that's another copy, and they back it up, and then we may have 20, 30 copies of the same thing, of data that doesn't change. So we're looking at ways to store that as an object and replicate it once and never back it up again. you cannot back up a petabyte or a terabyte, exabyte. Okay?
Impossible to do that?
It's impossible, yeah. So what you need to do is manage it. Okay?
So
And a lot of this data doesn't change. A lot of this
Right.
data we don't want to change because we want it to be immutable. Yeah.
What about updating the data instead of changing it? Is there some sort of a way for us to just to somehow integrate the old
Yes.
data and the new data?
Yeah, the changes.
Yeah.
We don't have to. There's a base data,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there's changes to that data.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have to recreate the base every time
Correct.
we do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So incremental changes, we could do that. If the data is changing, you know, it's we can also version it so that this version is different than this, but I don't have to store everything in the old version.
Right,
to do
right.
that. So there are management ways to handle this, but again, there's going to be so much data that there will be no ability to us to store this in any way.
It's a scary thought. I hope there's a way for, like you said, push intelligence out and to figure
Yeah.
things out how
Yeah.
that we can overcome data storage. We'll be right back.